Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make better decisions and more money copy trading. I'm Gavin Macaulay, my name and username on eToro. Today we talk to a PI who very quickly went from obscurity to stardom, almost overnight. Here we go. Season 2, Episode 9 of the Copytraders Club podcast, and as always, my aim as an eToro enthusiast and copy trader is to demystify this new and uncharted world of copy trading. Understand what are the pitfalls and best practices, and how ultimately to succeed as a copy trader. In chats like today's, the aim is to answer all your questions about this popular investor, and reveal more about them than anywhere else, so you can assess whether they might suit you. In this episode, we talk to Neza Molk, aka Nezatron, who has very quickly become one of the most copied PIs on eToro, and, as we discover, is a good lesson in not judging a book by its cover. Her limousine has already pulled up here at the Copytraders Clubhouse, and here she comes. Neja, zdravo, dobrodošli u Copytraders Club.
Amazing. I feel so welcomed when you say it in my language.
Me veseli. All right, that's a nice little bit of Slovenian there for you. As I know you know, Neja, in order to gain access to the VIP lounge, you have to answer a series of quickfire questions. Ready for those?
Of course, let's do it.
Username on eToro.
Nezatron.
Date you joined eToro.
March 2020.
Date you became a popular investor.
November 2020.
Year of birth.
1997.
Place of residence.
Slovenia.
Profession.
Student of biotechnology.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
Me personally, I would like to achieve financial freedom, and I would like to get best possible results for me and also for my copiers.
Name one of your investing heroes.
I will be quite basic here. I would say Warren Buffett.
Name one of your favorite investing books.
Since I'm following value investing strategy, I would, of course, say Intelligent Investor.
That completes the formalities. Let's proceed now into the VIP section here at the Copytraders Clubhouse. The magnificent inner sanctum that is the Copytraders Lounge awaits you.
Amazing.
Neza Molk, aka Nezatron, are you ready for this magical transition?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, Neja, if you look around, you'll see that you're now in the spectacular surroundings of the VIP lounge here at the clubhouse. How does it feel?
It feels amazing.
Okay, great. And you're our first Slovenian representative here at the clubhouse.
Really? I thought that you already did some of the interviews with some other Slovene PIs.
I spoke with Gaspar Sopi, who's from that region, and the language certainly had similarities. I said zdravo to him as well.
We have some similarities. He can speak Croatian. We met in Lisbon, so we can actually speak with each other. He in Croatian and me in Slovene, and we can understand each other.
Well, let's hope we can understand each other today. So, let's have a bit of background. You are 24 years old, as we established. So, your bio still says 23. You're a student doing a master's in biotechnology, which informs some of your stock picks. You started investing as a teenager. You're living in Ljubljana, the capital city of Slovenia. Now, it's quite possible that many of our listeners know very little about Slovenia. So I did a little bit of research. Do you mind if I give a little summary of your country?
Yes.
First of all, it's the only country in the world with love in its name. Have you heard that before?
I heard this one before, yeah. It makes it special.
It's a small Central European country, population 2.1 million, borders Italy and Austria, which might surprise a few people who think it's in some obscure eastern location, as well as Hungary and Croatia. It's a beautiful country boasting both a coastline on the Adriatic Sea, enjoying a sub-Mediterranean climate, plus mountainous regions such as the Dinaric and Julian Alps, which have a climate that can unsurprisingly be called alpine. Formerly part of Yugoslavia, Slovenia is now a modern, developed, high-income country where in fact income inequality is among the lowest in the world. Sounds awesome.
I think that we have a really beautiful country. It's really green, and as you mentioned, you can experience lots of things in that small area. You can go in the mountains skiing and to visit the seaside and in the same day. So I find this really unique. Sometimes people think that we are Slovakia, not Slovenia.
That must drive you mad.
Yeah, sometimes it does because we are Slovenes are really good at sports. We have really good teams and individuals. And sometimes when we get an award, there's a Slovakian anthem instead of Slovene anthem.
I read an article about 16 famous Slovenians, and I have to confess I only knew 3 of them. Can you guess who the 3 Slovenians I knew might be?
Our president, if you knew him, or Luka Doncic, of course. No?
Well, he wasn't in the list.
Zizek?
Yeah, Slavoj Žižek, modern-day philosopher and author. I knew him.
Yeah, he's well known. And who else did you know? 2 more. Give me some tip.
I'll give you a clue. If you try and be best, you'll come up with the answer.
Be best?
Yeah, that was her slogan for trying to encourage the people of America to achieve their...
Oh, of course, our first lady.
Melania Trump.
Yeah.
Whose pictures probably adorn the bedroom walls of Ishfaq Pirali, I imagine. And the third, I'll tell you, it was Jan Oblak, a footballer who's the goalkeeper for Atletico Madrid.
Yeah. But I really thought that you will know Luka Doncic because he's really famous in US now, playing basketball for Dallas.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm not from the US and I'm not particularly interested in basketball. But anyway, those are the 3 big names that I got. Speaking of names, what's with your username? Nezatron.
My name, Neja, is typical for our country, and you can't hear it anywhere else. So people have a hard time to pronounce it, and they don't pronounce it as you do, actually, Neja. They struggle with it. So I wanted to have a username that still has my name in there, but it's it's still short. And Nezatron was it was a fun way to change my name.
Does Nezatron mean something? Did you see that word somewhere?
No, nowhere.
So you just made it up?
I made it up, and it is successful, I think.
Yeah. It's a bit like, it reminds me of when I discussed this with Ralek, who's a crypto guy. It sounds like a crypto person's name, Nezatron. well, there's Tron for a start, but kind of sounds robotic or futuristic or something to me.
Maybe, yeah, you could, yeah, I can hear that.
Okay, let's talk about how I came across you. I think, like most eTorians, it was editor's choice. I watched your phenomenal rise in copiers with eyes bulging. And I want to talk about that in a little bit more depth in the next section. So for now, let's get to know you a little bit better when I ask. Tell us something you're really bad at.
I would say for myself that I'm really not that good at driving. And also, sometimes I find it hard to focus on one specific thing when I'm doing something, and I get really easily distracted. But that might also be a good thing because I can multitask.
Mm-hmm.
But new ideas just come to my mind, and I start thinking about them and get distracted at something that I'm actually doing at the moment.
Well, let's go back to the driving. Tell us about your bad driving.
I'm not really I can drive, but I don't feel that confident when I'm driving. And if I can, I avoid it.
Okay, you're not a fan of reverse parking or something?
Oh, no, not at all. Not my thing.
Okay, and let's have a question from the art of people. Can you give me a number between 1 and 10, please?
I will go with 4.
Number 4. What is the most exciting thing in your professional life right now?
At my professional life as a biotech student, I would say that I just started with my master thesis, actually working in a lab, and I'm really excited about the team I'm working on. And about my investing career, I'm super excited because I'm on editor's choice again. My stats are good at the moment. I'm green in March, and I think that it's not that easy as it was before. So I'm really proud of that and excited what the future holds for me.
Okay, Neja, let's turn our attention now to your profile on eToro. I'd like to ask you to read a little bit from your bio. If you could read the intro and then the paragraphs headed Trading Strategy and About Me.
Hello, my investing strategy is value investing. I trade mostly stocks and ETFs. Trading strategy, I invest in companies that I believe in. Their product or service must solve problems in present and in future as well. They are financially in a good health. About me, I'm 24 years old master student of biotechnology. I have always been curious about science and events all around me and all around the world.
Now, you must have updated it to say 24 very recently.
I have updated it before because I knew that it says 23, and I had my birthday a few months ago, so it's not 23 anymore.
So you're a value investor and you're also recognized by eToro as a value investor. What is the process for earning that badge?
I'm very proud that I've been recognized as a value investor by eToro. I don't actually know what's the procedure how they choose who is a value investor and who is recognized. But my account manager, she told me that they saw my strategy and how I am investing. And then I was invited to join Value Investor Club.
Okay, so they don't put you through sort of any test or interview process or anything?
I had an interview with Mati, who is in charge of Value Investing Club, and we discussed my strategy and my future goals. And after that, he welcomed me in value investing.
And you told him you'd read The Intelligent Investor, and he said, you're in. Have you read all of The Intelligent Investor?
I have read all Intelligent Investor, and I'm reading it at the moment again.
I can only manage the 2 chapters that Warren Buffett recommends, 8 and 12, I think.
It is really hard to read maybe at the beginning, especially if you are not a native English speaker, I would say.
I imagine so.
Some phrases are really old and hard to understand for me, but when you see the message of the book and how valuable it is if you are considering following value investing strategy, then I think that is one of must reads.
Did eToro give you any idea how you might lose that badge?
They didn't say how can I lose it, but Matty, who is in charge of Value Investing Club, we keep in contact. And if we have any questions, he is there for us. So he also is kind of guiding, he can guide me through this value investing strategy. And I plan to keep following it. But I think that if I would suddenly buy a huge position in crypto, then I wouldn't be recognized as a value investor anymore.
All right, so let's have a little look at your results back on your profile, which is quite relevant really because, well, you started in 2020, as you say, in March. Good timing. You finished the year 2020 with a result of 126.94%. Now, I saw you say on another interview that that's not a result that came about through value investing. You were invested in growth stocks. You rode the wave, the post-COVID wave, obviously with great success. Tell us about that.
As I mentioned in few interviews, yes, in 2020, I was not following value investing strategy. I had more in growth companies. And to be honest, at the beginning, in first month, I was also investing some of my money in oil directly using leverage, but I wouldn't do that. I decided to never do that again. At the end of 2020, I decided to start with value investing strategy, and I would like to keep it like that in the future because I think that it's the most suitable for me and for my goals.
Okay. As I say, I only discovered that for a fact through listening to you in other interviews. I was researching you for this. You've got a very full bio and pinned post, but it doesn't really address that's what happened in 2020 very clearly. So you might want to include a little bit of that somewhere in your pinned post just to make sure that potential copiers understand where all the returns have come from and aren't distracted too much by that number and think that it's something that they can expect every year, or at least that approach that resulted in those returns.
I actually mentioned it in my conference call. That was 2 weeks ago, how I managed to get that result in 2020 and why it changed a year after. Because I would like to become honest with all my copiers and with everyone who is considering copying my portfolio. And I completely agree with you that everyone should know that and what to expect from copying my profile.
Okay, so we look forward to seeing it in your pinned post shortly. Okay, how about your risk score, Neja? Do you feel like your risk score is fair? Let me just describe your risk score to the listener who may be lying in a darkened room. It's low. Throughout the last 12 months, your average risk score is either 3 or 4, and your max doesn't go much over that, so it's pretty steady. Yeah, so you're quite a low risk investor according to the eToro risk score. Is it important to you to maintain that?
I think that my risk score reflects my portfolio and I agree with it. I would like to keep it around 4 in the future. And it also reflects my drawdown. As you see, my my yearly drawdown, max drawdown is around 5. So I think that risk score 4 reflects it really well.
Absolutely. That's very low. Your drawdown numbers are impressive.
And I have in my portfolio, I have stocks and ETFs. I still have around 20% of my money uninvested. So I think that risk score of 3, 4, it's quite accurate.
Okay, let's talk about your Copier numbers and AUM. Copier numbers as of the time of recording, 3,726. Assets under management between 2 and 5 million. Now, your Copier graph, as I mentioned earlier, you had a meteoric rise. So the graph is a very steep rise, and you went from being almost nowhere to becoming one of the most copied PIs on the platform. And I imagine you set records in so doing. So tell us about that experience for you. What was it like watching your Copier numbers swell day after day in such an extreme fashion? How did that feel?
I was first featured on Invest with Her page before I was on Editor's Choice. And even there, I saw positive feedback from everyone who was commenting on under that post. And I was really surprised by it. And just a few days or a week later, they also featured me on Editor's Choice. And as you said, it exploded. Before that, I had around 50K assets under management and I had around 33 copiers. But when I got featured, that number grew exponentially. It was I couldn't even imagine every day looking at that rising number. It was a huge surprise for me, and I was really excited about it. Actually, when I got featured, I was just in the mountains for 2 days and I didn't had my internet access all the time. So whenever I checked my phone, it was even more exciting for me.
Yeah, it must have been incredible. I watched your rise to prominence, and I have to confess, I expected your Copier graph to ultimately end up looking something like the Eiffel Tower, a steep rise with lots of fly-by-night copiers joining, who would then leave at the first sign of trouble, which is a pretty common occurrence for people on eToro. However, that has absolutely not happened. Your Editor's Choice appearance coincided with a good run of monthly results that has continued thereafter, meaning you haven't hemorrhaged copiers since. So well done for that.
I was also kind of surprised because of it, because I saw many people who got featured on Editor's Choice, and after they took them down, people who were copying them went somewhere else, and they had Eiffel, they had a tower like graph, as you mentioned. But I think that good results made my copiers stay where they were, and that's why they didn't go away.
And I see you're already back again on the Discover page, Editor's Choice again. And that's a place where eToro seem keen to showcase recent form, if you like. So, as you say, indeed, your results have helped people stick around, given them fewer reasons to go away. But with the level of support you're getting from the platform, you just have to keep doing okay. And you're going to be set fair for years of success as a PI. Do you acknowledge that eToro views you as something of a favorite?
I think that eToro is really trying to support women in finance, and that's maybe why I got featured. And I'm happy that I represent women here on eToro, which is not very common. And I hope that I will encourage other women out there to join us and to start investing themselves.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the users of eToro. They're mostly male and mostly young. Now, I was once a young man myself, Neja, and I know what it feels like to be a young man. Just bear with me on this. With raging hormones and a mind that struggles to think rationally thanks to said hormones. These urges and distractions can influence all sorts of decision making. And I don't think it would be fair to ask you to comment on this, because you've done nothing to encourage it. But I do wonder to what extent your attractive, youthful female appearance played in your record-setting Editor's Choice performance. I imagine it had an influence. Someone with your record and profile, but with a pic of an overweight middle-aged man, may have picked up a few hundred copiers, but not a few thousand. Now, unless you wish to comment on that, I will limit my question to, do you receive communications or comments from eToro users about your appearance?
Sometimes I get a comment about my appearance that, for example, you look good, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to respond to those comments. I'm not here so they can comment me about my appearance, how I look like. I would like to stay on platform because of my good results and my strategy. So I would like to keep discussions about this and not about my personal life or my appearance. So I'm not even responding on those comments.
I think that's probably the best approach.
I think so. I would like to keep it professional on some level. It feels good when someone says that you look nice, but I would like to keep my eToro profile professional, and I'm happy to answer all questions that I'm getting as fast as possible to keep connected with my copiers. But I don't want to get to this level where we are commenting each other's appearance and personal life. I don't want to get there.
Okay, good answer.
I loved your question because as a woman here on eToro or anywhere in investing, it felt strange for me in the beginning because there is not really such a big community of women investors. I felt alone at the beginning, but now when I see how they are encouraging more women to join us, and when I see how supportive eToro community is, not only people working at eToro, but also all my followers and copiers are supportive, and their comments that I'm getting are kind, and there is no negativity in them. And I would like to keep it like that also in the future.
And certainly Copytraders Club is not a gentleman's club, that's for sure. We want to give everyone a fair crack.
I'm happy that you're inviting women investors in Copytraders Club.
Okay, let's move on to trades per week and average holding time. Trades per week, 3.45, average holding time, 6.5. So that's quite in line with your value investing approach. Let's talk about communication. One of the first things I noticed after your rise in prominence was the consistency of your communication was something that made me realize maybe this isn't going to be an Eiffel Tower situation, because you were saying a lot of the right things and in a very measured way and making a lot of sense. And I see that's quite consistent in your posts. You also have a YouTube channel, of which I'm a subscriber. Only 2 videos so far, intro to Nezatron and one eToro-led quarterly conference call that you mentioned a moment ago. What are your plans for your YouTube channel?
I have my YouTube channel because I think that through video, it's easier to explain how your strategy works. So that's why I made this first introduction video. I'm planning to make some more videos in the future, but right now I'm trying to write quality posts so copiers at least can read it and think about it. But I hope that I will find some more time in the future to make some more video content.
Well, we look forward to that.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm also using my Instagram account where I'm also posting my whatever that I post on eToro.
Okay, I haven't signed up for Instagram yet, but I probably should. Again, I expect you're keeping it very professional there. It's not pictures of you skiing and surfing and hiking.
No. No, it's a professional account.
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Copytraders Club.
Copytraders Club.
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Copytraders Club.
Copytraders Club.
Okay, let's get down to business now and look under the hood of your portfolio, as they say in America. Right. Asset class allocation within your portfolio. Well, it's a pretty straightforward picture. Stocks, 84%. ETFs, 16%. End of story. That accounts for 100% of what you have invested. As you mentioned earlier, you like to maintain a cash position. Currently, that's 21.5%. Is that a normal amount of cash for you to have on hand?
I like to keep some cash available so I can invest in case of correction. So it is there for me to invest, but I would go to around 10%. It's a minimum cash that I would have in my portfolio.
Right, let's have a look at your top 6 positions. Your top position, which I found quite surprising, is a dividend index ETF, HDV. We'll talk about these in a second. Second is Amgen, a Californian healthcare company. Barrick Gold, Adidas, Northrop Grumman, US Bank Corp, and BHP Group, which is an ADR of an Australian mining company. Northrop Grumman, by the way, design and develop aerospace and defense systems. USB is a bank. I think everyone knows what Adidas do. So that's quite a diverse range of businesses. And that diversity continues right down through your portfolio. There's also some geographical diversification with representation for Australia, Germany, France, and a Chinese ETF. So talk to me about that, those layers of diversification.
As you mentioned, I have a well-diversified portfolio. I have 29 positions open, and among them you can find different sectors, different types of assets. One of the ETFs that I have is a bond ETF. So here you can also see that I have some diversification between asset classes. I have stocks, ETFs, and this is one bond ETF. And I like to keep my portfolio well diversified among different sectors. With the biotech background, I think that I have better understanding in these pharmaceutical biotech companies, but I also invest in other sectors. But before I decide to invest in them, I like to do analysis of them to see how the sector actually works and what would I like to have it in my portfolio. I also like to have my portfolio diversified among different regions. Before I had more positions in China, but I decided to close specific companies and open this ETF, which gives me a good exposure in China market, in big companies from China. So I'm not exposed to a risk of a specific company.
Just on that point, I saw you saying in another interview that you had closed your Alibaba position in late last year, December, I think, because of the systemic risks that it faces being in China. But I was thinking, if there are systemic risks, then how does a Chinese ETF make any sense?
I decided to invest in that ETF that I have right now because those companies are listed in Chinese market. They are not listed in US, so there is no risk of delisting them. And I'm not focused only on Alibaba. There are also other companies in there. And I think that it gives me a good exposure still.
And what would your friend Charlie Munger make of you leaving Alibaba at a time like this, when he's doubling down? When I looked at it, you sold two positions. One was at quite a big loss, and the other position was one that you bought on the 1st of December and then sold on the 3rd of December. So what was going on there?
That was the time when this news about delisting came out, about delisting Baba. I decided to go out of it completely. And I would do the same again. I wouldn't change my mind.
The stock did drop like a stone between those two dates, like 14%, I think I saw.
And I had my Baba position was in US, as I mentioned. And that risk of delisting was too high for me.
Okay, so we talked about diversification, Neja, but there are also some themes, as you kind of mentioned. What I was struck by when looking at your portfolio is, when looking at the themes, it strikes me that you're not exactly trying to appeal to idealistic young ESG, socially and environmentally conscious copiers. When I really looked at your portfolio in preparation for this chat, it struck me that it was more like the portfolio of a seasoned 65-year-old man. I'll explain why. 17% of your invested column is in extractive industries, fossil fuels, mining. Your biggest position is a dividends ETF. You've got a bunch of Warren Buffett style investments: Coca-Cola, Walmart, Apple, Microsoft, Disney, Barrick Gold, and even the military industrial complex is represented in Northrop Grumman. So you understand why I would think that. It's not necessarily, I'm not criticizing it, it's just I found it a bit surprising.
I see where you're going. I think that most of other young people, you might imagine their portfolio as ESG, crypto, growth companies, innovation, things like that. But I think that reality is different, and that we cannot just switch. I am for green energy and I am for ESG, but I think that technology is not quite there yet and our needs are too high. So I'd like to keep to those traditional stable companies. And I also have some innovation in my portfolio. You can still see that I have Amgen and Timio, who represent part of my background as a biotech innovation. So it is still well diversified between that old 65-year-old man and a young investor. But I don't want to just focus on young, innovative companies. I like to keep stable. And also with positions that I have, you might think that there are old companies who are not developing anything new. But I think that everyone should know that companies that I have are also part of the transition to green energy. They're also investing in this part. And I think that we will see them in the future.
Okay, the next one's a little bit tricky because I want to delve into why you're invested in Northrop Grumman. They are, let me describe them just for the listener. a leader in global defense, plays a critical role in the US and abroad, makes some of the most advanced war weapons in the world. In particular, Northrop is a leader in autonomous systems, including stealth bombers and drones. On top of this, the company makes advanced weapons, ammo, and defense systems to give an advantage on the battlefield. Now, they were $385 on the 23rd of February, and as of a couple of days ago, they were up to $454. And we all know what has happened in that time. So I had to look to see when you'd bought this position, and I see 4 of your 5 purchases were in February and March. So it looks like a war stock. What would you say to a concerned copier that doesn't like the sound of that?
I understand their concern, that they are concerned about investing in military, and especially now when with situation that we have. I invested in them before it even started. In my opinion, with investing, you should at least try to turn off your ethical concerns somehow, because as you see, world is functioning in a different way. Not everything is ideal as we would like to have it. And it is impossible. For me, I think it is impossible to only follow my beliefs in investing. Of course, I morally don't support aggression, any war, people getting hurt. This is not my point. But I think that in investing, you have to think about how world actually works like. Nothing is ideal, and things like that will continue. We have to think about our safety and military spending. It won't just go away. That's a reality. There is still an option for all copiers to decide not to copy positions that they don't like in my portfolio. So if they have those ethical concerns, they can still decide not to invest in companies like that.
The other thing about that stock, moving away from the ethics of it, is that it was trading under $300 at various times over the last few years. And your purchases average over $400. So on the surface, it looks like less of a value investing purchase and more of a sort of play on, I suppose, the reality of geopolitics. So how does a purchase like that fit in with your value investing categorization?
In my opinion, it was still fairly valued when I bought it. I think that it's still in line with my strategy. Also, I'm following geopolitical movements and where the world is going, and also deciding on this point. And I think that everyone should know that price of the stock is not reflecting the value of the company for sure. It's not always reflecting it.
Let's have a look at your portfolio to see what the issue is in terms of desync. I see very little desync in your portfolio. Is that something you strive to keep on top of?
Yeah, I recommend that for everyone who is considering copying me, that they copy with at least 600, because with less than that, I don't copy all the positions that I have in my portfolio. But from now on, I'm opening positions big enough so everyone can get them. And those really small positions, I opened them a year ago. I'm rebalancing my portfolio once in a while. And I think that that's why I don't have that much desync.
mentioned earlier on, you're back in Editor's Choice because of your good, steady, recent performance. And as we see all over eToro now, lots and lots of copiers are looking for safe havens. They've been invested in these other PIs whose portfolios, because of the market shifts, are now in deep red, or have been for the last few months. To what do you attribute your portfolio's ability to remain steady in the last 3 or 4 months?
As we discussed before, my portfolio is really well diversified, and I'm not investing in high growth companies, high growth tech companies. I don't have them. It's not true that all sectors work bad at the moment. Technology has some problems right now, and PIs who had most of their positions in high growth tech companies, they had, we could see red numbers in last 3 months. But for me, I had, as you mentioned, some of my positions in oil, gold, and in gold, in precious metals, and they've been doing great in past few months. So that is the reason why I am green at the moment.
And going back to your Copier graph, I normally describe that to listeners. We discussed how it looked like one half of the Eiffel Tower, but not the second half, because it didn't drop again very steeply. There was a little drop off initially, as there always is, but then it remained largely steady, just a very slow decline, and is now on the uptrend again. So 3,726 copiers, like I say, you're up there with the big boys and girls. And I wonder what number that will be by the time this Editor's Choice appearance ceases. But let's shift gears a little bit now, Neja, and talk about your copiers. Who should copy Nezatron?
I think that person who is looking for a long-term investment should consider copying my portfolio, and who is there to get a stable results. But on the other hand, who is the person who I think that shouldn't copy my portfolio? That's the person who is seeking for quick money to get rich overnight. I'm always saying that this is a long-term investment. And there's also in my bio that I recommend copying for at least 6 months. And that's at least because less than that, you can't get results.
So many PIs state that in their bios, but I mean, what's it going to take for the message to get through? Still so many copiers are, think that it's all going to happen in a month or two. And they throw their toys out of the pram if it doesn't.
This is a problem, and when there is someone who doesn't have that much experience and they see slightly red numbers, they probably get scared and decide to stop copying. And that's why I'm always saying that they shouldn't panic when they see some red numbers. I'm using them to buy more of companies that I believe in. I see them as an opportunity, not just to be afraid and to run away.
Okay, here's a couple of new questions I'm going to try out on you. But the first one is, what makes you so special?
That's a good one. What makes me so special? There are so many PIs out there, and it's hard to say why you are so special. But I think that I'm special because I have low stability. I have low risk and high stability in my portfolio. And I think that my communication with people who copy me and with my followers is really good. that I'm trying to answer to their questions as soon as possible every time, because I imagine that if you invest your money to someone to manage their portfolio, you want to be updated and to get your answers as soon as possible. So maybe that makes me special, and I think that I also post enough that I post every week or at least once to update them. Yeah, that might be special about me.
And there may be some crossover with this other question, but we'll give it a go. If you overheard two of your copiers talking about you in a coffee shop or something, part one, what would you most love to hear them say? And part two, what would be the worst thing imaginable that they could say?
What would be the thing that I would love? I would love them to say that they're happy with results they're getting from copying me and that they feel safe. I would really love to hear something like that. But on the other hand, the worst thing that I can imagine is that I would hear them saying that I don't know what I'm doing. That would really hurt me.
Okay, well, good answers. I'm going to have to keep that question. It does remind me of another thing I thought we should maybe address, is that so far your career on eToro has just been a fairy tale. It's been wonderful. Everything has gone well. You know, you've been picked up editor's choice twice. You've kept all these copiers. Your results have been good. You're working out how to communicate. You're involved in Invest with Her. It's all just gone perfectly. Now, that's not always going to be the case, you know. The music's going to stop at some stage and things are going to go horribly wrong for a period. You're going to be in red. I'm not wishing this upon you, of course, but my question is, I suppose, are you prepared for all the negativity that could follow when things take a slight turn for the worse? So far, you're universally loved, but it can be a nasty place, the comment section on eToro. And you're going to hear a lot of things potentially upsetting when the knives come out. That's all very negative, but you know what my question is, like, are you prepared for that?
First, I would like to work my best, so I will try to not get there at the first place. But yes, of course, I know that when there's some where people see that you're really in red and their investment in you is in red, I imagine that they are angry and disappointed. This is how you get those comments. But I don't want to take them that personal. And I would like to prove them that my strategy is still worth of investing. I would like to keep them informed still.
Yeah, well, that's critical, is to maintain communication.
Also, right now, I'm seeing lots of this negativity in other PIs, and I know that it must hurt them. It's not the best thing to see when you check your profile and there are negative comments. And I hope that I will prepare myself for that.
Yeah, and that's when people might show their true colors. And, you know, some of the things that we're talking about that might have assisted your rise, your youth, your gender, your hair color might all be used against you. Not that your hair color has had anything to do with your success, but you could imagine those kind of things will come up when people are angry. So I hope you don't take it personally, because it's not personal, really. It's just people venting and people who don't understand the nature of long-term investing.
I had few interviews before. I also appeared in a Slovene TV channel, and I got some negative comments under that article on the web, but I thought that I will take them personal and that they will hurt me. But I didn't think of them like that. So I hope that I will be able to remain strong even if I see them on eToro. And for now, I just imagine that people are jealous, or especially when I hear something bad from someone who I know that they don't really know what I am doing. I don't take their comments seriously. It would hurt me that I would get a negative comment from someone who I look up to. That would really hurt.
Okay, on that note, what other PI would you say you know best on a personal level?
I had a chance to meet quite a few PIs when we were together in Lisbon on Web Summit.
Yeah, I saw some of those pictures.
Yeah, you probably saw some of those pictures, and it felt amazing to meet them in person. And I can say that they're all really good people, and we got along. Whatever I asked them, they really helped me with it. But I think that on personal level, that I connected the most with Rok, who is other Slovene PI, Rok Herman, because we discussed also some things about Slovenia, and there's no language barrier. So I think that we got the most along.
And you met him in person in Lisbon?
Yeah, I met him in person in Lisbon.
Who else did I see that you met? Out of the Copytraders Club alumni, you met Wesley?
Yeah.
Gasper?
Yeah.
Marcin?
Yeah, I'm Jelux.
Also Hugo?
Yeah, Hugo.
And who else was there? Yeppe and Mr. G.
And Mr. G. They're all great guys. It felt great to hang out with them, because I was looking up to them when I started my investing on eToro, and when you meet everyone in person, it feels completely different to drink coffee with them and to hang around and discuss investing.
And were you the only female PI in Lisbon?
I was. Heloise should also come there, but she had some issues with visa or something, and she couldn't come at the end. So I was the only female PI there.
Okay, if you were a copy trader rather than an investor yourself, what would your approach be to copy trading? How many PIs? How would you balance them out? What advice would you give to your little cousin who wanted to copy trade?
I think that copy trading gives you a good approach in investing, because someone is actually managing portfolio for you, but you have to find a PI who has a strategy that is in line with your goals that you would like to achieve. So I personally would check PIs that you can copy and see what they have in their portfolio, how is their diversification, what is their goal they're trying to achieve, and maybe listen to Copytraders Club interview, because you can learn a lot from there. I think that would be, but I don't know how many people I would like to copy personally, because I was not in that position.
When you say you don't know, do you mean it would be a small number, or you haven't given it any thought?
I think that it would be a small number. I would pick some of them because I would still love to keep in touch with them, what they're doing. And again, if you have so many people that you are copying, it must be hard to follow all their actions.
Okay, final question. What question do you wish I had asked you?
I would ask how you think your age is reflecting your investing decisions. Since
you're not a 65-year-old man.
Yeah, I'm not a 65-year-old man. Maybe something about it.
Okay, consider that question asked. What would you say?
I think that my view, I still have a long-term view. I hope that I have long life ahead of me. I still have few years. So in my opinion, I really have a long-term goals. I don't have short-term goals and then I'm going to end with my investing. I hope that I have a long life ahead of me. So with that, I can really say that I'm a long-term investor, not a 65-year-old man.
Well, we wish you a long life, Neja, and every success in the future. Good luck.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
There you go, listener. I trust that gave you a little further insight into Nezatron and what copying her might look like. My thanks to Neja for appearing, and especially for not raising any objections to some of the more tricky subjects we discussed. I hope you agree they were all fair game and asked in an appropriate manner. That's all from me. See you on Discord and Facebook. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. It's just generic chit chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.